started and a little bit about your diagnosis and how this came to be?
Oh, sure. So in Labor Day weekend of 2016, 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I had accepted a partnership position with a firm in Zurich, Switzerland, and had my Swiss green card and my apartment and my clothes were already moved, and I was moving to Switzerland. And I went into a weekend doc in a box urgent care center because I had a little bit of nasal congestion and I didn't want to get on the long flight. Mm-hmm. And the guy did a chest X-ray and he even brought me back to look at it. It didn't look like anything to me. And he was kind of my first savior. He just wouldn't take no for an answer, and he bugged me all day Sunday and all day Monday before my Tuesday morning flight to Zurich. And finally, Monday afternoon, I went in for a CT, and I had a tumor in my left lobe of my lung, lower left lung, the size of my fist. With no symptoms. I had no symptoms, zero. I had no idea. And so I picked up the phone and called Switzerland and canceled my trip and canceled my acceptance of that job, and started a journey with MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. And, through a comedy of errors that weren't their fault, I got pneumonia along the way, and they had to change the regimen and double up the radiation. They fried my esophagus into bacon when nothing would go down or up. And instead of doing a feeding tube, I decided to live off of my fat stores and my muscle stores. And I went 8 weeks with no nutrients in my body, zero. And went in and IV fluids to keep me hydrated along the way. And in December of 16, just 3 months later, I had a scan and they said, well, we have great news, Joe. The great big monster tumor in your lower left lung is gone. And by the way, the biopsy revealed that it was small cell lung cancer, which is the more aggressive of the two kinds of lung cancer. The good news is that it was gone from the big one was gone from my lower left lung, but the bad news is it had metastasized entirely from head to toe. I had tumors in my neck, in my stomach, my liver, my bladder, my pancreas, and in my bones from head to toe. Wow. And I don't know if your listeners know, but statistically, when you have small cell lung cancer that metastasizes that far afield, you're a goner.
Yeah.
Basically, the life expectancy goes below 1%, and the median life expectancy is around 3 months. And so, that sobering news was given me, and I was pretty much told, go home and hire hospice.
Yes.
And here's where the plot thickens and my story changed. I got a call the next day from a large animal veterinarian, cattle and horse doctor in western Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma. And I went to college with this guy, and I knew his children and everybody. And, excuse me, he basically told me this crazy story about a scientist at Merck Animal Health on the veterinary medicine side that had been implanting cancer in her mice brains and stomachs and livers, and was doing cancer research. And her entire mouse population, as the story was told to me, her entire mouse population came down with intestinal parasites. And so she gave what is given to all animals, whether it's fish all the way up to elephants in the animal.
Yeah.
Is a drug called fenbendazole, which is in the anthelmintic class of drugs. Anthelmintic only means to kill intestinal parasites.
Yes.
And lo and behold, she saved her mouse population from dying of intestinal parasites. But when she came back several weeks later, she cured the mice of cancer. And as the story went, she herself got 4-stage glioblastoma wrapped around her brainstem, was told to go home and hire hospice. he decided what the heck, started taking this stuff and cleared herself in like 12 weeks. So that's a short-winded answer to the very next day. I started taking fenbendazole, and I'm taking the veterinary product,
Uh-huh.
the dog dewormer.
Is it like a pill or?
No, it's a dry, tasteless powder that people use to mix into dog food to deworm their dogs. And I do the same thing. I just mix it with yogurt or a smoothie, and or sometimes I just throw it in the back of my throat and toss it down.
And is that something you had to have a prescription to have, or?
No, I mean, look, this is a veterinary medicine drug.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not supposed to be taking it for human consumption, but what the heck?
Yeah.
Bought it at 1-800-PetMeds.com, and I'm such a good customer, I get a dog bone with each order. So, so I basically, through self-research, I did probably 2,000 or 3,000 hours of research myself, added a few other things to the regimen, which is now called the Joe Tippens protocol, which is beyond bizarre to me.
Yeah.
But I added curcumin, bioavailable curcumin and CBD oil and vitamin E to the regimen. And I went through a period of unknown. I went all through January and February and March and April of 2017, waiting to die because the median life expectancy was 3 months, and I was not supposed to survive. But I felt fine. There were no symptoms. I felt great. I was, working again. I went in for a scan the first week of May of 17, so 3.5 months later, and I was all clear.
Wow.
So a previous PET scan that lit up like a Christmas tree from my neck to my pelvis and in my bones and in all my internal organs was now gone completely.